absolute banger. I find that shop themes in general are overwhelmingly major and often lean into the kitschy, repetitive sensibilities of Muzak. And especially in this Nintendo-y kind of sound, is even jauntier and dinkier than pure Muzak or just standard bossa. Of course, the instrumentation is quite different as well, with most of these instruments being synthesized imitations of their counterparts you would otherwise expect in the genre. The bass hits that classic dotted quarter note eighth bossa pattern, while the melody plays this offbeat figure over top. Super expected and super efficient in establishing our sound with a pretty minimal instrumentation. One thing I love about bossa in general, and especially Muzak-flavored bossa, is that often we get these very simple melodies over relatively complex harmonies. We have this mini little motif that's barely a measure and a half. The top voice just walks down the scale, then it repeats verbatim, before transposing up a fourth, then changing ever so slightly to adhere to the funnier harmony. And what I love about this variety of shop music is simply how unambiguously functional it is, especially compared to our more atmospheric environments we've previously seen. We have these strong, solid four-part tertian harmonies, and a chord progression that is simultaneously functional and easy to follow, just a simple 1 major to 4 major. But it's also a bit interesting in how it leverages functional 2-5 relationships to give us a little bit of ambiguity, with this C minor 7 and F7 ever so slightly breaking out of the key. It's this combination of exceedingly simple and repetitive motifs superimposed over funny chord changes that defines this video game shop kind of idiom, at least in my opinion. It just sounds so delightful and a wonderful underscore to a quirky and novel shopping experience where you spend Wii-flavored Monopoly money. And we can see so many other examples of this kind of sound, such as the shop theme from Piku Niku.
Empieza ya.
This theme is actually quite similar. We have that same bossa-ish bass line, plus a very short, simple, repeating melodic figure. Even the chord progression is pretty much exactly the same for the first 8 measures. It diverges a bit afterwards, briefly tonicizing the key of E-flat, then D-flat, while ever so slightly developing that same melodic figure from the beginning, which is honestly so Calamboan. It then has this cute little turnaround that loops us back to the top. One noteworthy aspect of this tune, apart from the chords and melody, is the EQ. We've previously seen how underwater music tends to EQ out the higher frequencies using a low-pass filter, or just generally lean towards instruments that lack that higher end, to emulate that kind of sound of physically being underwater. Shopping music tends to do something different, EQing out both the high and low end, leaving the middle frequencies, which is meant to emulate the sound of the music being played through a speaker. And I think that's really cool to see. It's still kind of an environmental EQ in a sense, but it simulates the experience of being in a store and hearing Muzak played through a poor quality overhead speaker in the corner. But it's also interesting to think about how shopping music plays with diegesis. Typically, our water and ice themes don't literally exist in the game world. It's underscore only intended for you, the player, to experience. The EQ that emulates the sound of being in that environment is strictly a compositional decision meant to sound more immersive. It's obviously unlikely that when you hear an underwater theme in a game that a full-string orchestra exists and is playing the music just off camera. Sometimes with shopping music though, the music is intended to be uniquely diegetic. The Mario Odyssey example is interesting because not only is it at least plausibly diegetic, but as far as I can remember, the only instance of music that exists in-game as well. The EQ implies it's playing through the speaker in the store and Mario can hear it. And that just adds such an interesting layer of immersion. One final thing I'll say about video game shops before moving on is that apart from meta shops like the Wii Shop or abandoned malls and the like, there is an inherently human aspect to the environment environment. An ocean, for instance, just exists in the world and you are typically just subject to its influence. But a shop was made by someone and typically is defined by the interaction between you, the player, and the merchant. It's because of this that shop themes are so rarely ambient. It's an experience where you have to be present. You're actively making these decisions that directly impact both you and also the shop. These bouncy, mindlessly positive melodies over interesting harmonies exist because spending money is fun as hell. And in universe, the shop wants you to be engaged and spend all of your money. It's the exact same principle behind Muzak in real life. Supermarkets and malls used specific Muzak playlists to match their brand identity, hoping to overall increase your immersion and sense of wanting to stay within the store. But anyways, I'm not going to wax poetic about video game shops forever, and we'll take a look at other tunes which play with the idea of diegesis in a bit. But first, let's take a look at a tune which leans more towards the jazzier sensibilities of Muzak. The Pokemart theme is a lovely example of this. This happy little tune is so swingy and delightful. We maintain that simple repeating melody over a complex harmony kind of style, but the melodic development is definitely much quicker. I think the harmony also evokes a more antiquated sound. We have this B pedal point. The B just holds in the bass, all under an ascending line cliche, essentially a chord progression where the top note just keeps rising upwards chromatically. It feels so 70s in my opinion, which of course is rather idiomatic to Muzak. Could be just a coincidence and entirely uninspired by the sound of course, but I think it's a cool, shoppy kind of tune nonetheless. Speaking of which, all this talk of shopping makes me want to take a quick break to buy some goodies on the internet. This website looks legitimate. Welp, it was a scam and I lost all my money. If only I had used NordVPN, the sponsor of today's video. You probably already know that NordVPN is the fastest and most trusted VPN on the market. But did you also know NordVPN can keep you safe in many other ways as well? We can go to the NordVPN app, click the little shield, and access everything that will protect your computer in real time. We got ad and tracker blockers, preventing your information from getting stolen as you browse. Anti-malware, which automatically scans any file you download for malicious activity. And advanced browsing protection to protect you from sketchy links, phishing attempts, and fraudulent storefronts. Get all these features and more by using my link. You'll get 2 years plus an additional 4 months. It's all entirely risk-free with NordVPN's 30-day money-back guarantee. Link is in the description. But anyways, Muzak is interesting in that it's not just any one genre. In fact, many tunes in the 70s through 90s leaned harder into pop and soft rock sensibilities, in addition to the aforementioned Latin and jazz. We can hear this in Fortune's Bella from Dead Rising 2. All the makings of a Muzak power ballad. In fact, composer Alexa Lazochuk has said that he intended to write authentic Muzak. Instrumentation and production aside, we actually have a pretty similar thing to what we saw in the Pokemon tune. This simple melody slowly develops, but also falls down in diatonic steps every time it repeats. Meanwhile, the harmony also does a pedal point thing, sustaining that C in the bass for the entirety of this first phrase. I just love that second chord. The 4 minor is just so cheesy and schmaltzy, but of course works so well in giving that kind of 80s power ballad sound. Another interesting aspect of Muzak, and shop music by extension, is the inherent comedy, especially in these settings where the composer leans into a super elevator music kind of sound. Our modern cultural perception is such that it sounds so dated and insipid, which has been juxtaposed against more serious action sequences countless times in pop culture. Come on! And what's hilarious is that this cloyingly optimistic muzak is playing through the mall's PA system while you're getting mobbed by 10,000 zombies. All of this isn't to say that muzak-flavored shop music is always funny, but I do think it's interesting that a genre has such an association tied to it that it can be leveraged in this manner. I really don't think any other genre would have that same effect in this context. As mentioned, this tune also exists diegetically, but I think it's interesting in that it technically isn't a shop theme in the sense that you're purchasing wares from a merchant. It's more the theme of this greater shopping environment, a large and abandoned mall, save for the aforementioned zombies and crazy people. A similarly abandoned mall level which has music that I absolutely adore is a Libel Mall from Kirby and the Forgotten Land. The melody is short, simple, dinky, and repeating, like we saw in the bossa section, and of course very Kirby-ish, but otherwise the development, chord choices, and rhythm section feel very late muzak to me, kind of leaning into the more earworm pop sensibilities. I feel like if you just changed the instruments, it would sound like a department store. But anyways, there is one final style that I love unironically, that kind of 50s pops orchestra, easy listening kind of sound, seen in the classic and iconic Sims 1 shopping theme. That bouncy pizzicato playing arpeggios over the offbeat hits in the strings is just so idiomatic to that 50s sound, which of course definitely fits in this hyper-suburban, consumerist Americana setting. Honestly, I would argue this kind of sound has actually remained more culturally relevant than late muzak. It's famously appeared in the Always Sunny theme.
I'm gonna save my dad's life.
But also as production music for a lot of cartoons, like SpongeBob. I listen to this and feel like Squidward walking around in a grocery store.
Intensive. I'll bet they won't have... Wow, they have it!
Rude, scammy. But what about shop themes that do not lean into muzak sensibilities? Maybe the most common kind of thing in this category would be that medieval bazaar sound, such as the iconic Ocarina of Time market theme. The fast triplet meter, classical melodic form, and simple harmony all played on this lute-like instrument are just perfect for this open castle-town market with people dancing in the street and a dog running around all crazy. We can actually hear pretty much the exact same thing in the Daggerfall shop theme. Honestly, I don't even know what else there is to say. I mean, both tunes pretty much do the exact same thing. It's cool to think that despite being quite different in genre, it does kind of accomplish the same thing as the earlier muzak-style tunes. The more upbeat triplet feel and instrumentation underscore the more populated and medieval environment. But otherwise it feels so inviting and encourages you to look around and buy things. There's harmonic variation later, but the simple strong melody and basic harmony in the beginning feels so anthemic, almost like the store's theme song in a sense. What about the same kind of thing but changing the setting to these cute little small town shops? The Stardew Valley shop theme does this quite effectively. A simple question-answer kind of melodic form that repeats over these pretty basic chord changes. There's not a lot of harmonic weight in that 6 minor and the 4 major, and bouncing between these weaker chords from R1 just feels like a subtle touch of indecision that underscores the inherent decision-making required in the shopping experience. Apart from that, the instrumentation is just banjo, tambourine, and an upright bass, of course fitting of this rustic country shop. I do like that tiny bit of chromaticism with that bass walking up to the G between the F sharp and G sharp. Just a hint of bluesiness and works wonderfully in this rural kind of setting. We can hear even more of that sound in Earthbound's shop theme. It's very similar in instrumentation and chord choices, but leans much more into the bluesiness with these super country chromatic approaches into our chord tones.
Vaya, hermosa ciudad.
It similarly works quite well as the theme for this kind of podunk small-town America general store. And the last category is kind of a funny outlier. Both of these themes happen to be a bit more ambient and spooky, but honestly, I consider the similarity between them to be that they're actually themes of their respective shopkeepers, rather than the store or the experience of shopping. First, there's Charon's theme from Hades. This theme is probably the most minimal and ambient theme we've seen thus far. It's a bit in the style of a dirge, which makes a lot of sense given it's the theme for Charon, who transports souls of the dead. The harmony and instrumentation are a bit spooky, but almost in a Halloween camp kind of way. Listen to that 2 major chord in context. And with the theremin melody over tentative pizzicatos, it has this awkwardness that perfectly describes Charon and our interactions with him, considering he only speaks in unintelligible groans. But there's also this really neat dual purpose. It's not just serving as a pure character theme, it's a clever little game design trick. The first time you play the game, you have to learn what the icon on each door at the end of a room means by just entering it. Pretty much every other icon leads to some big fight with a reward at the end, but this one is, of course, the shop, a welcome reprieve from the violence. And I would argue the music makes it immediately apparent. All other themes throughout the various levels of hell, apart from NPC rooms, hit you with loud, fast Greek metal in this intense, composite Phrygian kind of tonality. But in Charon's shop, you have a simple meandering minor and a slow and stilted kind of progression. And I think that's just really fun game design. The contrast makes this room feel like such a safe room amidst the horrors outside. We can actually see a pretty similar usage in Tunic, but before I talk about it, I'll give a warning for very, very mild spoilers, per the nature of the game. Okay, but fairly early into the game, you can find a mysterious doorway in a windmill that leads to an entirely pitch-black area. This is the tune that plays in this area. Kind of interesting and contemplative. To me, it similarly has this kind of awkwardness, both in the horn-like instrument in the melody, and also that intriguing ostinato underneath. The chords on paper look pretty simple, but it's so minimal and kind of only vaguely outlines the chords. It feels a bit classical in the progression, but also kind of unexpected and foreign in the way the chords are a bit unresolved, which actually plays into the themes of this game perfectly. But as mentioned previously, it's also kind of a character theme in a pretty funny way. When you first enter, you know absolutely nothing about this room. You've never seen a room entirely pitch black before, and you're also greeted with question marks in the top left. As you progress further into the void, you're immediately jump-scared by this giant and imposing skeleton guy. It would otherwise be quite a fright, but I would argue the meditative and docile nature of this track convinces you to not run away in fear. In fact, if you stick around for only a moment longer, items materialize in front of the skeleton and you quickly realize this is a shop.
Okay, I don't like that. Oh, are you a shopkeeper?
And it's similarly a really clever theme. Much of the progression in this game is through seeing something new and having to learn the mechanics of it through context and experimentation. I think this theme is just subtly curious enough that it incentivizes you to journey further into this dark void of a room, and even stick around when Skeletron Prime shows up, even if you're low on health or otherwise a more timid player. And that's super cool, really leveraging the power of music as a game design choice. Consider how much more terrifying this room would be if the music was different.
Floor.
Ah! What is that? What is that? What is that? Jesus Christ, what is it?
And that pretty much does it. As always, there are so many other styles, conventions, and subversions you can see in shopping music, but hopefully this was a cool video to at least give you some ideas for your next mercantile banger. Post your favorite shop, market, or mall level themes in the comments. I'm always looking for more of this. But anyways, if you'll excuse me, all of this shopping music has put me in a spending mood. Why did I buy this?